and a beautiful good day to you out there. Thank you so much for joining my channel. We're here studying the lessons of A Course in Miracles, and today we're going to be doing lesson number 67. This one's a beautiful one today, so open up and take it all in. Lesson 67, Love created me like itself. Today's idea is a complete and accurate statement of what you are. This is why you are the light of the world. This is why God appointed you as the world's savior. This is why the Son of God looks to you for his salvation. He is saved by what you are. We will make every effort today to reach this truth about you and to realize fully, if only for a moment, that it is the truth. In the longer practice period, we will think about your reality and its wholly unchanged and unchangeable nature. We will begin by repeating this truth about you and then spend a few minutes adding some relevant thoughts such as, holiness created me holy. Kindness created me kind. Helpfulness created me helpful. Perfection created me perfect. Any attribute which is in accord with God as he defines himself is appropriate for use. We are trying today to undo your definition of God and replace it with his own. We are also trying to emphasize that you are part of his definition of himself. So if you wanted to add any other statements in there to do your own little remix, you could say, beauty created me beautiful. I don't know. But like play around with it. Holiness created me holy is like the template. So you can add in some words, you know, maybe if you like to dance or if you have some, you know, poetic tendency to you, like you can totally ad-lib and make up what you want. But love created me like itself is the lesson, and then you can sort of flex from there. All right. After you have gone over several such related thoughts, try to let all thoughts drop away for a brief preparatory interval, and then try to reach past all your images and preconceptions about yourself to the truth in you. If love created you like itself, this self must be in you, and somewhere in your mind it is there for you to find. You may find it necessary to repeat the idea for today from time to time to replace distracting thoughts. You may also find that this is not sufficient and that you need to continue adding other thoughts related to the truth about yourself. Yet perhaps you will succeed in going past that and through the interval of thoughtlessness to the awareness of a blazing light in which you recognize yourself as love created you. Be confident that you will do much today to bring that awareness nearer, whether you feel you have succeeded or not. It will be particularly helpful today to practice the idea for the day as often as you can. You need to hear the truth about yourself as frequently as possible because your mind is so preoccupied with false self-images. 4 or 5 times an hour, and perhaps even more, would be most beneficial to remind yourself that love created you like itself. Hear the truth about yourself in this. Try to realize in the shorter practice periods that this is not your tiny solitary voice that tells you this. This is the voice for God, reminding you of your Father and of yourself. This is the voice of truth, replacing everything that the ego tells you about yourself with the simple truth about the Son of God. You were created by love like itself. So let me tell you guys, this lesson to me feels like a straight up, I mean, using the word assault seems inappropriate, but it's like an assault on the ego. The ego does not want you to believe these things about yourself. And so I would like to just advise that let those argumentative thoughts come up, and just have awareness of them. When you read this, love created me like itself, and the first thing that comes into your mind is, no, it isn't. No, we didn't. That's totally the ego. And it's like this voice in your head that's masquerading as the sensible one, the real leader in your life, the one who's like normal, the one who conforms with society. It's the identity that you have to switch into sometimes when you need to like literally lower yourself in order to relate with the world. So yeah, the ego is not going to appreciate this lesson at all. and I like in the end where Jesus is saying, and it's kind of a sentence I stumbled on a little, probably not a coincidence, that this is not your tiny solitary voice, right? So we were created, love created us like itself. We were incarnated and born into creation, being perfect, being helpful, being kind, being compassionate, being peaceful, being friendly. That's where we came from. All the other things that have piled on top of that, and that have become this personality that we assume, and we put this character mask on and go out into the world. All of that is the ego, and it's a defense mechanism. It's you want to fit in, you want to belong in this society that's focused on fear, death, guilt, despair, destruction, war, all of that, where all of that is acceptable. That is the part of you that unfortunately got the most attention during your upbringing. And so when we come back to this, it feels like it's a little teeny tiny voice like, love is here. Shh. But that's not real. that's like the ego also somehow filtering your ability to see and know the truth of who you are and what you are and where you came from and where you will go back to. So I think being able to learn all of this while we're still incarnated in bodies is absolutely key. Quick update on me. I'm on day 6 of drinking spring water. Cheers. Things are going really great. Last night we had a movie night, and we watched this movie called Spare Parts. It was a wholesome, loving family film, so I would recommend it if you have like a family movie night. It's about this group of high school kids in a Phoenix high school who enter into a underwater robotics competition against some colleges, and they go through some trials and tribulations, and it's interesting. And what came out to me, of course, because I'm not eating right now, is the product placement with McDonald's and Coca-Cola in the movie. So if you ever watch it or decide to watch it now, check that out, and it's just giggle about that, because that's what came out to me. Not that I really wanted to eat that or drink a Coke, like, oh my God, it's been forever since I've eaten McDonald's or had Coke. But it was just, anyway, it just stood out. But the movie was so sweet. It had a happy ending, and I got a little cry in last night, so that was good. But throughout the day, as I'm hanging in the hammock for hours, drinking water, I do think about my ego and when my thoughts come and where they come from, and how, just what I said to you earlier in this video, that I've created this identity that basically is the container for the ego, so that I can fit in, so that I can be normal, so that people will think I'm cool. Even like the idea of like sarcasm and just my sense of humor even is much more of a reflection of the ego than it is a mirror of my heart and of my true self. I mean, there's nothing wrong with joking around and being funny, but there's something about this just layer of cynicism in everything that I can look back on my life and see in myself that has to do with my unaware conformity to the ego's identity for me, the ego trying to protect me from not being a part of whatever group I was in, especially in the Army for 20 years. I mean, oh boy, there was definitely a lot of focus on war and death and destruction and cynicism and all of this. But now I'm really opening to this idea that I am love, that I am this pure-hearted spirit being in a human body. And what I'm doing here at this water fast is regaining a connection with my body. I'm actually learning about my body by not using all my neuroses to overfeed it and punish it, because I think that's also what the ego does to us. We put things into our body that aren't an ideal diet for us, that aren't meant to be eaten. Certainly if you're binging, right? Like, we're harming the body, because the body is where the ego resides. And this is essentially the ego's property, if you will. So here I am evicting the ego by not consuming food and by consuming pure spring water from a waterfall nearby. And it's like I'm taking over, but not in a way that I'm, murdering the ego, but I'm evicting the ego out of this vessel for this period of time that I'm doing this experience with my body. And I'm relearning to tune into my body in a different way, and having the discipline to restrict myself from all the habits and the things that I used to do. It's a really interesting thing, because I'm doing it in a group with other people, so we're kind of leaning on each other, and all of us have already talked about, we're dreaming about food and what we're going to eat when we start eating again. So it's good to do that in community, of course. And I definitely would advise anyone doing a water fast to be supervised and, work with someone who knows what they're doing. Don't just start doing this yourself. But anyway, yeah, I'm re-establishing residency in my body in a loving way, in a pure way. And it feels like this is the really beginning of a next phase of my life for me, because I'm able to take back the power, take back the control of my life, and my ego just has to stand aside. If I'm ever in an emergency situation and something, I need to get that surge of adrenaline and something needs to step in to like save me, okay, I suppose the ego exists for things like that. But apart from that, I don't really need the ego. I don't think that it has a function in my life. And everything the Course in Miracles says about, there's two sides of you. There's the ego mind and there's the mind of the Holy Spirit, your right mind. I want to be in my right mind. I don't know why I would ever not want to be in my right mind. So that's what's coming up for me. And reading this lesson today, it's just like, like I just feel this sense of, okay, great, good. I get to remind myself once again that love created me like itself. I'm a part of God's mind. Everything is mind. The other thing that's really sinking in for me is that the material aspect of this world, the things that my body's eyes see, are not necessarily real in any way. And so everything is mind, and I get to choose which side of my mind, or which voice that comes through my mind, that I follow and that I take action based upon. So hopefully that's becoming clear for you, and that you're starting to realize the difference between your ego's thoughts and your thoughts of your higher mind or right mind, and that you start to make changes in your life based upon those loving, gentle, nurturing things that arise in you, as opposed to the controlling, strict, time-based, that's, maybe you need that in some level because you have a busy life, but love yourself and be gentle with yourself as often as you can in the midst of your busyness of your day. Love you all very much. Thanks for being here with me today, and I'll see you back here again tomorrow.